The waters of the Tigris River ran black with ink, then red with blood. It was 1258, and the Mongol siege of Baghdad, the glittering capital of the Islamic world, had reached its horrific climax. Libraries holding centuries of knowledge were pulped into the river, followed by the bodies of the slain. The Mongols, it seemed, were not just conquerors, they were the ultimate barbarians, the nemesis of a civilization. They were the architects of Islam's darkest hour. Yet, within a single lifetime, the unthinkable happened. The descendants of these same warriors, the sons and grandsons of Genghis Khan, would kneel not atop ruined cities, but on prayer rugs, facing Mecca. They would become sultans and patrons, some of Islam's most ferocious defenders. How did history witness such a breathtaking pivot? How did the destroyers become the devoted? This isn't just a story of religious conversion. It's a tale of cultural seduction, political genius, and the quiet power of a civilization so resilient it could absorb its fiercest conquerors. To understand this stunning transformation, we must leave the smoldering ruins of Baghdad and travel east, to the windswept heart of the empire, the Mongolian steppe. Here, in the early 1200s, the world was defined by the eternal blue sky, Tigris. The Mongols were nomads, their spirituality as vast and untamed as their grasslands. They practiced a shamanistic faith where spirit flowed through every mountain, river, and storm. This wasn't a religion of books and mosques, but of intuition and the natural world. A shaman wasn't a priest in a temple, he was a bridge to the cosmic forces, interpreting the will of the sky itself. Crucially, this worldview bred a profound and practical tolerance. For a people constantly on the move, encountering diverse cultures was a fact of life. They believed all religions touched upon the same ultimate truth, just in different tongues. When Genghis Khan welded the tribes into an empire, he codified this open-mindedness into law. His Yasa legal code explicitly protected every faith, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Taoist. Their houses of worship were tax-free sanctuaries, persecution was forbidden. The empire's strength, he understood, lay in unity of command, not unity of belief. And so the Mongol Empire exploded, a shockwave of cavalry that stretched from Korea to Hungary. They ruled Buddhists in China, Muslims in Persia, Christians in the Caucasus. For a while, this pragmatic system worked. The Mongol Khan, a shamanist, sat like a god-king atop a magnificently diverse world. But as their conquests settled into the hard work of governance, a crack appeared in this elegant model. The Mongols were masterful destroyers of cities, but novices at running them. They could sack a Baghdad, but administering its complex bureaucracy, its sophisticated trade networks, and its dense legal systems? That required skills no steppe nomad possessed. They faced a simple, glaring problem: the educated class, the administrators, tax collectors, judges, and scribes needed to grease the wheels of empire, were overwhelmingly Muslim. So, the Mongols made the only logical choice. They hired them. Persian bureaucrats became the engine of Mongol rule. Muslim merchants managed the treasury. Islamic scholars served as diplomats and advisors. Slowly, subtly, the dynamic shifted. The Khan might still consult his shamans, but he was surrounded by Muslim voices. His children were often nursed and tutored by Muslims. The very language of administration across vast swathes of the empire became Persian. The conquerors, in their own courts, were becoming culturally outnumbered. They were masters of the land, yet strangers to its soul. The turning point came not in the Islamic heartland, but in the northwest, with Berke Khan of the Golden Horde. Around 1257, Berke converted to Islam. His reasons were a mix of personal conviction. He'd been deeply influenced by Muslim traders and Sufi mystics, and razor-sharp politics. He saw the future. His domain was increasingly Muslim. To rule them, he would need to be one of them. Berke's conversion lit a fuse. When his cousin, the shamanist Hulagu Khan, ruthlessly sacked Baghdad and executed the Caliph, Berke was horrified. He fired off a blistering message: he has destroyed the cities of the Muslims and brought death to their people. With the help of God, I will call him to account for so much innocent blood. Mongol nearly went to war with Mongol, shamanist against Muslim. The message to other Khans was electrifying. Islam wasn't just the religion of the conquered, it was a potent source of political legitimacy and moral authority. The final, decisive shift happened in the Ilkhanate, the Mongol state ruling Persia. Here, Mahmud Ghazan made the calculation of a lifetime. In 1295, on the cusp of taking the throne, the 24-year-old Khan converted to Islam. This was no private spiritual moment, it was a brilliant public coronation. By taking the name Mahmud, Ghazan didn't just convert, he rebranded. Overnight, he transformed from a foreign, pagan oppressor into a legitimate Muslim sovereign. The impact was immediate. He built mosques, endowed Islamic schools, and proclaimed Sharia law, while cleverly retaining key parts of the Mongol Yasa. Resistance movements lost their religious rallying cry. The Persian bureaucratic class, once serving alien masters, now served a believer. Ghazan was ruling with the grain of his society, not against it. But this transformation wasn't a surrender, it was a synthesis. The Mongols didn't simply vanish into the Muslim world. They created a bold, new Mongol Islamic culture. They were still Mongols, fierce warriors, proud descendants of Genghis, masters of horseback and bow. Now, they were also defenders of the faith. This fusion created figures like Timur, Tamerlane, who centuries later would storm across Asia presenting himself as both the scourge of God and a pious son of Islam, a restorer of Genghis's empire and Muslim glory. Of course, this revolution had its costs. The old, glorious tolerance of the early empire faded. The shamanistic whispers of the steppe were drowned out by the call to prayer. Muslim Mongols sometimes fought Buddhist Mongols, fragmenting the empire's unity along new, religious fault lines. And for the conquered populations, the memory of Baghdad's ashes never fully faded. A Muslim Khan was still a Khan, his ancestors' shadow long and dark. Yet, the legacy of this astonishing metamorphosis is written across the map and in millions of lives. The great Khanates of the Ilkhanids, the Golden Horde, and the Chagatai became Islamic powers. Their cultural fusion laid the groundwork for the Timurid Renaissance and later, the Mongol Empire of India, a direct descendant of both Mongol conquerors and Islamic Persian culture. Today, from the Volga River to the mountains of Central Asia, millions carry the genetic and cultural legacy of the Mongols, and they are overwhelmingly Muslim. They are the living answer to that haunting question. So, who conquered whom? The Mongols conquered the Muslim world with sword and fire. But the Muslim world, with its resilient institutions, its sophisticated culture, and its profound spiritual depth, conquered the Mongols in return. It offered them not just a religion, but a new identity, a way to belong to the very world they had mastered. The Tigris may have run black and red, but history, in its endless irony, painted a far more complex and enduring picture. It is a powerful reminder that civilizations are not defined by their destruction, but by their power to transform and endure, turning even their most fearsome enemies into unlikely heirs.